welcome back to Sewing for My Sanity. Today, we're gonna do a tutorial. Yes, we're gonna do a tutorial and we are going to talk about the proper steps to press. But before we do that, we have to talk about what we need to press, right? Wait a minute, what is pressing? Pressing and ironing are not the same thing. So before you say, I know how to iron, I learned how to do that when I was 10, that is absolutely not what we're talking about. If you wanna learn how to iron, please direct your questions to your mother, your aunt, or your grandmother. No, I'm just kidding. But we're not gonna talk about ironing, we're gonna talk about pressing, okay? So, first thing you're gonna need to press is you're going to need an iron. Now, listen, people get all crazy about irons. They talk about what types of irons, and this one has titanium, and this one's ceramic, and honestly, you could press with a $9 iron from Walmart, or you could go all the way up to, your Rowenta's, your German made, your what have you. You just need an iron that works properly and one that you can put water in because you're going to need some steam at some point, and one that's clean. So those are the most important things. You probably need at least 3 settings on your iron: a low setting, a medium setting, and a high setting. Okay, the next thing you're gonna need is water. Yes, H2O. Now, there are lots of ways to put water in an iron. Don't judge me. I'm not advertising this limoncello. I have figured out a way to make it so that the water actually doesn't drip when you put it into your iron. So this is just a leftover bottle. It's clean. And I just put a little dispenser nozzle. You can get these on Amazon or Walmart or what have you. And it fits perfectly in there. It's good for bartending. No, I'm just kidding. It's great for not spilling, literally. So then you need to decide what kind of water goes into your iron. This is a thing. Depending on the kind of water that you have at your residence or where you're going to be sewing, you need to make sure that you do not destroy your iron by putting the improper type of water in your iron. So this is actually, this is mineral water. So this is not mineral water because those minerals will destroy your iron and you'll get the nice white flaky scale coming out of your iron. So if you're on well water, please do not put well water in any iron. Please do not put tap water that has lots of minerals and calcium into your iron. I can almost guarantee you, depending on what the manufacturer says, you will destroy your iron. So whatever the manufacturer says goes in your iron, you can put that in a bottle. You're gonna fill up your iron with, and I'm gonna turn this so you can actually see. And I use this so I don't spill, get it all over the place, goes perfectly into my iron. Nice. And we're not getting it all over the iron, which means I'm gonna decrease the rusting and what have you that happens on the outside. No matter how much you pay for iron, you will destroy the outside if you continue to drip water all over it. So it keeps things nice and clean, keeps your projects nice and dry. Okay, then I'm going to use the setting on my iron that's appropriate for the fabric. If we're working with cottons, it's gonna be the highest setting. If we're working with silks or polyesters, it's probably gonna be one of the lower settings. Other things we're gonna use to press, okay? Tailor's ham. You need this. Why? It's not for Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner, no. It's so that you can press a sleeve or something that has a curve. So remember, when we're sewing, our bodies are not straight up and down. We're not Roblox. We are curvy people. We have derrieres and we have breasts and we have arm sleeves, things like that. And in order to press those without creating creases, you're gonna use a tailor's ham. These come in different shapes and sizes. This one I've had forever. I got it from Joanne. This guy you're gonna use for things like sleeves. You can pop this into the sleeve and get it really nice and pressed well. So sleeve for the sleeve. My friend made this one for me. This is a tiny one. When I had little babies, the sleeves were tiny. She thought I needed one. Thank you, friend. And then there's a few other little things we use to press. I love this. It's called a clapper. And you're gonna use this when you are pressing things like velvet because you don't wanna use your iron. You all will remember the 2 things that I made that I melted that I talked about on the blog. Like literally legit, y'all, I like literally melted. So one of those was, remember the little the velvet one off the shoulder thing, these little diamond thingies in it, these little sparkly guys, if you put the iron on those, they physically melt like ice crystals. So you can't press this. It's velvet. It's a little stretchy. And you're gonna have to use a clapper. And you're literally gonna go, and that's how you're gonna get this seam nice and flat. You see on the other side where we clapped it. It's nice. You can use it that way. I did it on an ironing board. Don't do that. Probably use a flat surface. Same thing for things that have sequins. So again, as soon as you take this iron and you go boop, you're going to melt this design. These sequins are going to misbehave. And so what you're going to do is just take your clapper, put it down, and flatten out the seam. There are other tools you can use for pressing. I love this guy too, because when you get into little pointers and things like that, you really need something that you can manipulate the fabric and the garment on, and this really helps you to do that. These are tools that you can use. And then my last tool, my favorite one, is silk organza. Silk organza is your friend. You know why? Because when you have silk organza, you can take a piece of fabric like this. Let's say it's something that gets shiny when you iron it. Shiny. So that means no matter what you do, when you put heat to it, it's gonna get shiny and it's actually gonna destroy the fabric. So instead of doing that, you're gonna use your silk organza as a shield. You put the organza down on the seam, and remember, we're not ironing. So before we go there, let's talk about ironing. Ironing is when you are removing wrinkles. So when you remove wrinkles, you're going to move the iron back and forth like so. You can use steam or not, but you're gonna move the iron back and forth. Pressing, you can use the silk organza. When you press, you are going to take your iron and literally apply pressure using the iron sole to the seam. You're going to hold it there for several seconds. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell the seam to stay still. Stay right there, don't move. And I want you to be just like this. You are not going to move it like this. If you move it like this and you have a stretch fabric, a fabric that has any sort of elasticity or stretch, you will eventually stretch the seam. And what was this big is now this big. And then your garment won't fit. So don't drag the iron over the seam. You're gonna take the iron and physically press it. You can do a pump of steam and then let it stay there for a moment. Lift up, move the iron again, lift up, move the iron again, and now you've pressed your seam. Now, I showed you the hem, and I didn't show you a sleeve because I don't have one. Actually, I do. Well, I've already pressed it. If this were something that was round, you would actually take it and put it on your ham, like so. We're gonna pretend, put it on your ham. And then you physically take the iron and do the same motions. Now, you're probably saying, why don't you just take that seam and put it down like this and do the same thing without the ham? Because you're going to get a lot of abnormal shapes that are not like the body. They're not curved. And on top of that, you're going to get a lot of abnormal creases. So one more time, when we press, we're going to use the iron, apply it to the seam, hold for a second, lift up, use silk organza to protect your garment, and that's how you press. So, do you have a favorite pressing technique? Better yet, do you have a favorite pressing tool? If you have one, please put it in the comments below. Share with us. We're a beautiful community, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.